my computer, and if anything, I probably send an unlisted link to some of the peers. Anyway, disclaimer.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
Antoine, Jonathan, AJ. I'm not sure if I know you. I think one of the founders of Portis was coming, and maybe a friend that was a producer of Banking on Bitcoin. Let me send him the link. He wanted to do a documentary here, but I think it got too crazy. Mano, I'm gonna fix me a drink and be back in 30 seconds.
No, you cannot do that.
I need some whiskey in my soul. Well,
Okay.
I need it in my.
I will refill my wine glass if you do that too.
That's a good idea.
Let me run for the bottle.
So just say hi to who's coming in. Second, oh, Jesus, he's a local artist here in Caracas. Really wants to get into NFTs. We had a call with Bea. It's fun for you guys to chat as well. Be right.
Hey, Jesus.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Fine, fine. Thank you.
Are you based in Venezuela actually?
Yes. Currently, I'm in.
Hola, un placer. Jonathan. Okay, what are you drinking there, David?
So I normally I would be traveling all over, but for some reason it's a year that I haven't been, and I have a house in Italy, so I am drinking Primitivo del Salento. It's good. I deserve it.
I love the name.
It's from the south of Italy. Very, very good.
Well, I'm just drinking some good old scotch. Anyway.
So we will be waiting for other people to join, and then we will start, and I will have the pleasure of hearing from many of you. And while we are waiting, let me tell you my Venezuelan anecdote. I have been working with globally distributed teams for more than 20 years. And, you know, they are all over the place, from Australia to North America and so on. And for a few years, up to last year, one of my team members was from Caracas, and she was doing social media and those kinds of things, and actually we also met in person because she came to Italy to find her sister. And I always was saying, oh, I would love to come to Venezuela to visit you, but I never had the opportunity. And when she got married, she said, oh, I definitely want to come, want you to come to my wedding. And I said, oh yeah, I would love to. So what's the date? And then I was looking at the logistics, and I was telling my wife that I may be going. And then she said, oh yeah, don't worry. We will take care of everything. You don't have to worry about anything. You know, we will be even taking care of the armored car. So I told my wife, you know, I don't have to worry about anything. They will even take care of the armored car. So that's my Venezuelan story.
It's so true. I had taken care of the armored car for other people. You know, it's tricky.
Daniel, do you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you, man.
Hi,
that-
George.
that
Nice to meet
you?
you. Good night. How are you? What are you doing?
I'm good. I'm here. Just basically, we're just gonna have a friendly conversation right now.
Well, I went to her and learning about the masters.
Oh well, you're very much welcome. David is very humble. His ventures through the network society are inspiring, to be honest. I ran into them at Singularity University, and it's very fun to just to have him here. George is actually a member of the local SU community in Caracas. I ripple the invite to some of those folks because it's very aligned. Jesus is working on porting his artworks into the digital ecosystem. Elena is with Zcash, which is really cool. And you do so many other things. Antoine is actually play testing a learning and earning program, tokenized program here right now. So that's fun. I don't know some of the others. I actually, well, Andres is like this polymath. He's been in drones and 3D printing. That's Cypher back there. I'm sorry, man. I doxed you. And now everybody knows who you are. Sorry. I'm gonna post your Ethereum address. No, I'm just kidding. But Manu, he's got this. He actually, man, you should tell briefly the 5 pandemic story. So people know a little bit about you. I don't know if we got anybody else from Kernel. AJ, maybe that's you. Will be cool to reveal your identity. Otherwise, you're very much welcome to be here and share with us.
Thanks for your words. Well, I want to learning. That is all I want to do. Learning, and more learning. Really, several weeks ago, I see a short film called Simon from Diego Vicentini. Do you want to see this short film? It's amazing. It's about the protests in Caracas in 2007. But well, it's Ethereum night.
Interesting. I think you shared that with me. I had it like. Manu, you wanna talk a little bit about your work? I'm not gonna do you justice. It will be nice if you intro yourself. I have an intro myself, but I just.
All right, sure, why not? First of all, thanks for having me here, Daniel. And yeah, thanks, David, for your introduction. And obviously to so many amazing faces that I'm seeing right now, like Andres, Elenita, and a couple of cool names that are here. Oh, Diana is also here. Amazing, welcome. So I've been working in the blockchain space for the last probably 4 years and a half. The first thing that I did was I started working with, well, maybe I go back to what I did before. Initially, I'm a mechanical engineer from Venezuela, from the ULA, Universidad de los Andes. And then, I work with Schlumberger, which is a oil company, well, a service company called Schlumberger, as I said, and basically it's in 190 something countries. And in Venezuela, they were kind of like providing services to PDVSA. And I was working for them for a couple of months, and obviously saw how destroyed was, the whole industry back at home. And for me, it was really shocking to see that most of the old rigs were completely destroyed. And yeah, you saw people from all nationalities. You didn't see Venezuelans there, really. Super weird experience, to be honest. And I was at home, I was living in Venezuela. Then after that, Chavez died. And when Chavez died, well, obviously the whole country stopped working, and even Schlumberger, and they sent us back home. So I went back home, started working. I started hanging out with my friends, and obviously like the whole country got in a very weird mode. Well, especially back in Los Andes, where there was kind of like this revolution from the students, and I was actually part of that as well, organizing protests and yeah, just pacific protests, and it became more and more aggressive, and the police like shooting rubber bullets at us and stuff like that. And then after that, yeah, I had a really bad experience, and I had to leave the country, sadly. And then when I came to Europe, the first thing that I did, I started working with a company called Rocket Internet. Rocket Internet is basically a venture builder that copies business models from the US and also business models from Europe and brings them to Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and so on. So I think in Latin America, we have Rappi. They also created Groupon. And in Africa, they have something that is called Jumia, which is the largest marketplace in Africa. And what they do is essentially they have this umbrella brand that is called Jumia, and they have multiple type of organizations. One's dedicated kind of like Amazon style, and another marketplace dedicated to the whole hotel industry, another one to the taxi industry under the same name. And I was managing initially I entered as an intern, and then a few months later, I was already kind of like leading teams, and I became the head of mobile marketing for Jumia, and yeah, basically was part of that process for growing that company. After that, well, I left the organization. I joined another one from 500 Startups, which basically was connecting, and again, another marketplace, connecting employees with employees using machine learning. This company also was sold recently to another company in the US. And there I was pretty much managing, I was the marketing director there. And then after that, I got another opportunity I couldn't refuse, which was from AXA and Microsoft. They launched a company called Medlines, and it was basically another marketplace for connecting. Worked there for over 2 years as a CMO. And then after that, a very good friend of mine, well, just to come back a little bit to the crypto story. When I was back at home, back in Venezuela, I heard about it. Like, so many people were talking about it, but the main issue, the main thing that I got from it was that people were using it as a way of selling digital skins and digital accounts, and they were making money with that. So for me, it was like a game currency. I didn't think about it like a real currency. I just thought, oh, it's a game currency. And then when I was working at this startup, a good friend of mine, a Swiss friend, he told me about color coins, and I was like, what? Okay, that's crazy that you can create another type of currency on top of Bitcoin. And then Ethereum came out and so on, and he started talking about smart contracts, how you can basically transact without having a middleman. And then he started telling me about basically that you could have this possibility of engaging with people around the world and have a DAO that could manage funds. And I'm like, wow, this is blowing my mind. And I was like, okay, I need to be part of this. And that was like 4.5 years ago, more or less, 5 years. And the first thing that I did was I decided to investigate if there was a way of bringing the real world assets into the chain. So yeah, I started researching and there was actually not that many information about it until I found that someone was talking about security tokens, and to me that was okay. Wow, okay, this is the way that we could do it. And my friend who at that time was working with the COX protocol, so he said, okay, now we can tokenize and have this protocol for exchanging assets in a decentralized way. And I was like, wow, this is going to be the future. And I started working on it, and I found randomly in Berlin 2 other people that were talking about security tokens, and we started having this conversation, and yeah, we joined forces and we started working on a project called BrickBlock. Basically what we were doing there was tokenizing real estate, tokenizing venture capital and venture funds, and we did that for a couple of years. And then after that, I thought that it was going to become very difficult to enable anyone around the world to invest in a more stable asset in Europe, for example. But in reality, it is not possible yet, because there's a lot of regulation in between. So it's only offered to accredited investors. And I wanted to be more involved with communities, and that's when I decided to join DAOs. That was more or less 2 years ago. And the first DAO that I joined was the Metacartel DAO. Metacartel is a community that is literally just giving grants to open source projects and infrastructure, let's say for DAOs, for DeFi, for NFTs, for any type of Ethereum application, for any DApp. The Metacartel is just giving grants to projects that they believe in. And then there's another arm, like the Metacartel Ventures, which invests. And then, well, as I said, like I started from the very beginning of the Metacartel, and I saw the community evolve. And right now it's like 150 people, 120 people, I'm sorry, that are collaborating and contributing. And then I saw the meta game. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. Pete, I met Pete back in Berlin, and he actually came up with this name, the meta game, and to me it was super interesting. Like, you can create games in order to do good for humanity, or create together collectively. And yeah, to me that was mind blowing, and I definitely wanted to support him, and I joined him in that ride. And right now it's a community that is moving by itself, which is amazing to see. Then after that, I joined another one that is called API3, which is basically a community that is creating oracles. And yeah, it's currently one of the largest DAO. It has over $200 million on their asset management. And yeah, it was, it's been super fast. And currently what I'm working on is a platform called 5 Pandemics. That was the thing that we started with during the pandemic. And it was for connecting individuals that needed help, and those ones who wanted to provide it at a meta level, meaning at the global scale for individuals and also for organizations. And basically it was a community that came up. Actually, Daniel is part of the community, Andres as well, and a couple of other people, and that have been helping out. Andres was actually there from the very, very, very beginning. And then we created this platform in over 30 languages. And the last 3 months, we decided to have another focus. And right now the focus is creating a meta gallery. We're going to enable collectors, curators, creators to basically create communities and own digital art, and launch drops, and at the same time stream money to social organizations. And we are a community of over 1,800 people from all over the world that came together to work on this project, and now is going to be called CareDAO. And CareDAO is just going to create products that are enabling humans to unlock social, human capital, and financial capital. And the first project is doing good, which is this digital art gallery. And yeah, that's basically what I've been working on. And yeah, what I wanted to share with you guys.
Man, I had no idea about so many of those things. Like, for real, we haven't sat like that. I really want to open up to questions, ideas, and crazy musings. I actually got into this thing like when I really got into crypto, man. In 2014, I co-founded the first augmented reality company in Venezuela. And we actually had the thing like, do we go for augmented reality or crypto? I think we screw up, but anyway, I should have gone for the blockchain, actually. That didn't happen. But when I really jumped into the flame, it was 2017, and we were testing kind of like Indiegogo meets Trello micro crowdfunding platform for local NGOs during the protests, where more than 100 people died on the streets of Caracas. That didn't went well. I left the country for a while, but anyway, that was fun. So happy to talk about grassroots and crypto and blockchain in Venezuela. David looks like he's thinking about something with that pipe, so that's fun.
Yeah, I seldom turn off my brain. So when you look at me and you say, maybe you are thinking, you are usually right. Now, apologies if I jump in, but the title of the meeting for me was extremely interesting, especially because Venezuela was a trailblazer in crypto, and all the world is now imitating what Venezuela actually did 3 years ago with Petro. Petro is the first and stupidest central bank digital currency, and all the other central bank digital currencies are going to try to even be stupider than the Petro, and probably they will succeed in the sense that they will not be a digital currency as we think about it, and the level of incompetence is going to be a great race. Now, I am of course facetious and sarcastic and disrespectful and provocative, but what was the thinking, apart from the desire of control and the desire of centralization? But is there anything still about it at all?
Argentina quiere hablar. Go Argentinian. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. Go, Dani.
I'm not Argentinian. It doesn't matter what I do. I cannot catch the accent from here. And I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. But returning to David, nice to meet you, Diana.
Hello, very nice to meet you.
Okay, now you're touching a very interesting subject.
Wow, I could tell stories.
Yeah, me too. The more you ask, the more you discover new ways to precisely answer David's question. Stop it, Eric. Can it get? Okay.
Oh, we had a
Jackson
troll.
crying.
Nice. Let me, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So the thing is,
Nice.
somebody's
We got a
ready to
troll.
cry,
Guys,
ugly
we got a
cry.
troll. That's nice.
Oh, cool. We got a troll.
I haven't had a troll in ages.
But
Go ahead,
it
Diana.
is important, so it's not worth it, this role. So David, long story short, what happened back in December in 2017? was that the United States has already put in sanctions for Venezuela. So they are desperate, pretty much basically, to go over these barriers so they can still get money. That's it. They still want to get dollars. So the stupid, thought process was, we cannot get dollars from international commerce. So what we're going to do is that we're going to get around that by making our own tokens, our own money that is not that is not being like legally ruled by the United States. But what's that happened? Then it was proved that most of these tokens were actually bought by international allies that the regime still has, like Russia and China. But this token, the Petro token, also in this first scenario was meant for that. It was meant for so the dictatorship could still get money, like overpassing these barriers and kind of inviting the rest of the world to like be like, hey, if you buy the tokens, you're actually not doing anything that goes against the wishes of the United States. But that didn't work because it, like you said, yeah, we can be as disrespectful as we want because this project itself is disrespectful to everything. And then it got like it started to scale. Like they realized that nobody was going to use that like as actual money. So what they did was that they started to like push it further. So citizens inside of Venezuela will start to adopt it either they want it or not. Because as the Bolivar kept losing its value, like it's doing now, and still doing now, I don't know how, but we're still losing value. They started to act like the Petro can actually serve as an, if not an official local money to be used for everything, they are instigating people to use it at least for what it will be public processes. Like it all started with, hey, you have to pay patents with Petro. Like that was the first obligatory thing, but who is actually paying for that? So that went like under the table. But then it got bigger. They then they tried to run like a test and pay jubilados and to pay already former employees of the state with the Petro. They picked like a random number of people and they noticed. And of course, how do you exchange Petros for Bolivares? How do you make that money actually worth something? So people noticed and it didn't go well at all. And then that is when they started to make the Central Bank of Venezuela to use the exchange of petros to Bolivares, to Bolivars. So it would look official. So now there's this bunch of exchanges that are including the petro, but actually nobody is completely sure of what was the technical development of this token. Many people is not even sure despite of the white paper.
Well, that's tricky. I mean, it was kind of like a fork of Dash.
Tricky.
But the night that the first exchange that supported the Petro was launched, and I was in that party, there was a Lambo outside, a Lambo in Venezuela. The Dash, and this is why well, it was a Ferrari. I was
I mean, like, why not? Think about it. Why not?
The thing is like,
it will be true.
The thing is like the Dash websites in Venezuela, they were blocked, and the local exchanges that were blocked. It was a mess. I mean, everybody was blocked. Like all the independent exchanges were blocked, etc., etc. They put this thing out. But it's crazy. I mean, like the whole Petro thing started because some guys from Venezuela wanted to do an ICO, and they used to hang out.
Then question.
Go, man.
A few questions. What is the reality of the Petro was exported at Binance or BitMEX, and these programming people create a coin called Onyx coin? Do you know about that?
Oh, I mean,
the cryptocurrency in Venezuela.
Yeah, there's Onyx and Arepa coin, but those are mostly, I mean, there's barely any tech behind most of those projects and behind the Petro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how deep.
It is complicated to talk about these subjects because they are highly politicized. So we cannot actually like give you a brief right now, enough of a brief and full summary about this because it includes politics. So let's just say Onyx was the first cryptocurrency made in Venezuela. It was born in the Bolivar state, but after that, just politics. So let's leave that aside. And the reality of the Petro right now is that it's being pushed to people. They are not actually using it. It's not like a wide thing being used, but people are rather using other cryptocurrencies right now.
Okay. I have 1,000 questions, but I am happy to hold them back and leave other people ask questions as well. My next question, just a second one, and then I will shut up. A lot of countries realized that mining, especially when done by the state, is a very good business because corruption can be done in a level that you eliminate the cost of energy, and maybe you can even pollute if you want to pollute, and you earn great profits because most of the mining operations have a hard time making a profit because they have to pay for the energy. So how is that scenario today in Venezuela?
Manu, you wanna go? Oh, Elena.
Elena, I'm seeing Elena just smiling, so I just want to hear.
Do you have something to say?
I'm here to listen. Daniel knows. I don't know how much you can share, but like, it's a great question. It's loaded for sure.
It's
so
loaded.
That's why I'm
okay. I can jump in. I can jump in.
Go. Just
so
guys,
yeah,
hold me back.
So basically, what's happening is that definitely the government is expropriating mining rigs from people. They were, measuring the consumption of electricity and, targeting people in those specific zones. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride. And when I say the government, I mean, agencies affiliated to the government, and also even sorry. Okay. And obviously, like what's happening in local Bitcoins, like most of the transactions that are happening there, I personally think that it's coming from those type of operations and not necessarily from the people. But that's my theory. But again, I'm just speculating here.
No, it could be just like that. I mean, like I remember Matt's research paper. Oh, Antoine, you wanna go ahead? You got some buffering, weird buffering. You wanna try? I'm gonna.
Somebody's mic isn't working.
Your mic is creating a lot of. I know he's a human. Yeah. He's not a troll. He's just having audio.
No, he's a human, but I think that he has he's using his microphone to like.
Okay. You sound human now. You're not a weird AI.
I had headphones plugged in or something. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring up an idea. It's just an idea at this point. It's purely theoretical. One of you, sorry, I forgot your name. You're talking about how most of the local Bitcoin's volume was coming from miners and stuff. But it just brings up the idea in my mind of getting this sort of distributing crypto to Venezuelans. And this idea is not just specific to Venezuelans, but one way to distribute crypto is instead of buying crypto, people can work for crypto. And there's not a lot of things right now that people can actually provide in terms of work that would be valuable to crypto holders right now. It's sort of like a highly skilled domain. But one thing that a lot of people can do is learn. So if you get people to learn and then pay them to learn, and then you get like crypto platforms, any crypto platform it would be willing to put up funds to increase adoption of their crypto. And learning about a cryptocurrency is a surefire way of increasing adoption, because once you know about it, you're more likely to use it. And not only that, but once you receive some, you're way more likely to use it. So I call this idea earn to learn. And the idea is we can get like lots of people learning about specific platforms, and then we can get those platforms to sponsor those people to learn and pay them in that cryptocurrency. And it's a win-win, because the people will earn crypto, which they can use for whatever, and the platforms will gain users. So that's the idea. Like I said, theoretical. We're trying to put it into practice on a really small scale right now. And I put the Telegram handle in the chat if you want to check it out to learn more. But I just wanted to put that idea in everybody's minds.
Yeah, I joined the group, and I think it is excellent, and it is a great way of going ahead. And I would suggest that it should and could be extended, learning not only about crypto, but for example, learning about solar photovoltaics that generates the energy that supports the mining of a local currency network whose difficulty and adjustment is corresponding to the needs of the people who are participating. And so, for example, you can mine with a $10 solar panel that many people can afford, and you are creating empowerment and emancipation through knowledge.
I personally love that. Basically,
there's a project called Rabbit Hole, which is essentially you're doing.
I know of it, yeah.
Yeah,
it's very technical.
Yeah, well, it is technical, but I mean, you know, the tooling is getting there.
No, yeah, I gave it to my students. I know the third cohort of university students down here, teaching them a little bit on crypto and blockchain, and they were like, "What?" I mean, I actually directed a lot of them to Antoine, just to, you know, the bits and pieces of the starting up. It's complex, Manu. I mean, like the on-ramping and off-ramping.
Look, Daniel, it is super complex. But the thing is that currently there are the means or like the tools for people to get involved. So for example, there's Andre Cronje. I'm sure that you heard of him, this DeFi guy. He shared a couple of weeks ago, he shared this link about inverse finance. Inverse finance is this new protocol. And yeah, a lot of people just joined the community and the Telegram and so on. And well, what they did is they did an airdrop to all the people that joined the Telegram, and then they started experimenting with governance. And the people that continue participating in the governance process actually were able to keep the tokens. And the crazy thing is that they even expropriated tokens of the people that didn't participate in the governance process. So they're experimenting with all of this stuff. And the crazy thing is that they're doing airdrops for being part of this community. So 2 days ago, we got an airdrop from the Ruler protocol, and they gave us 2 rulers. If you check Ruler, they just launched 2 days ago, just for participating in the governance of that project, just for being part of that community. And we got like 2 Ruler, which is like a $2,000 thing per ruler. So it's like $4,000 or $5,000 just for being part of a community. So what I'm saying is that the tools are there. You just need to follow the communities, know where the communities are, you know, distributing governance and value to all the participants. This is happening already. So
it's happening on a small scale. And someone brought up about solar and mining. Yeah, all those things are super important knowledge.
But that's regarding mining, like in Venezuela.
Yeah, no, but
in Venezuela,
I'm just,
not that many people have, the means for mining. Of course. Mine, it costs $2,000 to have a mining rig, But if you just participate in communities, you can start earning with those communities. Yeah, electricity, exactly. That's another problem in Venezuela. We don't have running electricity. So if you want to mine, you need to have, let's say, generator there, and you're burning literally gasoline. And actually,
there's no one telling you that you cannot self-organize and bootstrap a genuine grassroots blockchain that does not require the kind of investments that 10 years later Bitcoin or Ethereum now require. 10 years ago, you could mine Bitcoin with a laptop.
Yeah, you're right, David. But it's all about the resources. In Venezuela, we don't have electricity.
Where are you now? I'm currently
in Spain.
Okay, who's in Venezuela?
I want to say something important. Like
Daniel has electricity.
and sorry for interrupting. And what Antoine was saying, especially for here in Caracas, I think the main objective here, and one thing I think that it's more especially important, that it what Learn to Earn focuses on education. And I think as a Venezuelan, is extremely important education, because one of the biggest fails, upper fails, corruption whatsoever of the Petro, man, like people don't know how to use it. The platform is a mess. As I think it was Diana was saying, like people are forced to use it for passports, for copyright, for things, and like people for giving an example, someone living in Caracas, some of my neighbors, they cannot even pay for the trash truck because the municipality was forced to pay with Pedro, but the Pedro went up. There's like a crazy control, and people generally, they don't know about cryptocurrencies. I think worldwide, a lot of people, like nowadays with crypto art, people don't know because they don't have the education. And I think beyond what the people if persons receive crypto and they're forced or their incentive to use it, education is something. It's like as I think Professor David said, it enables emancipation, it enables growth, it enables many things.
Gracias.
I just want to say that I personally think that the technology is not there yet for us Venezuelans self-organizing. We need still means of connecting with a mesh network, I guess, that is owned by us. That's like the main thing. Like the hardware, we still don't own hardware either. So I think there's a lot of there's lacking a lot of infrastructure first. The second thing, the best way for people to get into crypto or into this type of currencies is by joining those communities that are interacting with those type of already existing blockchains. But it's not going to be like our own thing. We're signing up into things that are already running. But I don't know. That's my perspective. I actually want to hear what Elena thinks. That you've been super quiet.
Yeah, actually.
I am really enjoying this conversation, Daniel. Thank you for bringing us all together. I guess I didn't introduce myself. So for people who I haven't met in the group, just a little bit of background. I am totally gringa. Grew up, born in the United States, from here, but my family is from Venezuela. So my mom and dad are from there, and then I grew up visiting Venezuela often as a kid. So I got into crypto because I was just researching crypto adoption in Venezuela. That's how I met Daniel. And I think I have a lot of baggage when it comes to crypto adoption in Venezuela. And that's why I really love efforts like what Daniel is spearheading with the Ethereum community in Caracas. But like my perspective is that in 2017, there was just a lot of misalignment between like peddling really early stage technology to really vulnerable populations and over promising and under delivering. So that was like 2017. If you weren't in crypto at the time, it was definitely the ICO boom. People were like, it was crazy. And then the petro happened. So I think like not coming at it from a technical perspective, coming at it from like more of a marketing perspective, people's first impression of the technology is really important. And if their first impression is something that is associated with the petro and a regime that is oppressive or violent, that's not a good way to start. Also, if it's associated with technology that simply doesn't work or doesn't work as promised, it's also not a great way to start. I do think that for me, it's really important to not just throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like with what Manuel was saying is super important. Just because a population is vulnerable doesn't mean that they're not capable of empowerment, education, bootstrapping. Like there are like so many like necessity is the mother of invention. There's so many incredible use cases that can come out of Venezuela. Daniel is definitely at forefront for seeing like what that looks like on the ground. But I definitely get a little like gun shy or a little hesitant because I think there's a difference between creating a space to experiment and explore and then addressing an urgent need. So, you know, when you're trying to do that, when you're trying to do the latter, it's probably not the most appropriate place for experimentation. And the thing is, like, we have the perfect example with the pandemic. Like, you don't want an experimental vaccine. You want a vaccine that works. And like, if you're like what happened in Brazil, like you're getting a vaccine from China that like may or may not work. Who knows? Like the data isn't open source for those clinical trials. They're putting a population in a position where they don't have agency, they don't have autonomy. They're given kind of like the scraps, and then a pharmaceutical company or an oppressive regime has a lot more authority than they would otherwise have. So I think a lot about power dynamics. I think a lot about network dynamics. I try to stay really hopeful and optimistic about the cool things that are possible with this technology. And yeah, so Crypto Conserje is another Jonathan, are you here? Is that Jonathan Kahn in the chat?
It could be, or my friend. I had another friend named Jonathan that was here. I don't know, but I invited Jonathan from Jonathan Kahn.
So just a little bit of history of like how I know Daniel, or Dank Knobs, as I like his screen name. Like in 2017, there was a conference where this one crazy Australian guy gave a talk, and he was like a YouTube influencer. And he gave a talk about how Cucuta, Colombia could be the next like place for crypto adoption, and we're going to educate everybody, and we're going to take crypto to the masses. And there was a community of very well-meaning people, Daniel and I among them, that like really wanted to make this work, and it really seemed like this could happen, and we could fundraise, create a DAO. And for many, many logistical reasons, like what what Manu was saying, like logistical realities on the ground that were just completely divorced from people in New York, like brainstorming fun ways to use their technology. The project didn't take off. The last thing I'll add, and I feel really strongly about this, is we have to be ethical about how we promote technology where we have a financial interest in its adoption. So if you are holding ETH bags and you're trying to shill ETH to, not that anybody in the room is doing this, but like you saw it a lot in 2017, where if you hold a lot of a certain currency, you have a really considerable financial interest in the ways that you promote that technology. So it's really important to be transparent and to disclose that. And that's just like the opposite of what we saw happen in Venezuela for like probably 2 years. I think now people have like gotten super smart and cleaned up a lot. That's all I was thinking.
Wow, but it's tricky, Ellen. I mean, like 2017, jumping on the metro in the subway in Venezuela, and I heard a couple of construction workers talking about, what is that Bitcoin? And I was like, you know, my mind exploded. I mean, nowhere in the world I had heard people, I mean, the working class talking about these things. I'm not into Dash. Andres was more into that. I'm sorry, man. But anyway, like these guys put together huge events. Of course, they put a lot of money into the country, about plus $1 million into the country. And you could see grandmas buying bread with Dash. And that was like, I had never, ever seen that anywhere else. So those kinds of things. And there have been like things that are not on the news, like projects for creating digital jurisdictions, like with identity and everything else. Down here in Venezuela, everybody on the blockchain, everybody on a digital currency. I'm probably the Petro in that sense, but those kind of things have gone down here. They haven't been applied. I'm actually happier that they haven't happened, you know, because it's like everybody on the blockchain, their identities, their purchasing power, everything there. China plus Venezuela
I know, created on like phones made by Huawei, but that's the tension. Like I don't want to be, I've never lived in Venezuela. So I happen to have family from there, but like, I don't want to be dismissive of the really cool shit that could happen there. And I also don't want to be opportunistic in like promoting a technology in a context that I know nothing about. So that's why I've been quiet, because I want to listen to you guys more. But it's definitely, I think Venezuela was also a meme in crypto for such a long time. Like if it was going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen in Venezuela. And whenever like something that's really personal to you becomes kind of a meme on crypto Twitter, it can create like a lot of opinions, because you know, you think you know better than everybody else, or you think nobody really knows what they're talking about. So I try to not let that bias get in the way.
No, you're not like that at all. And that's why we keep inviting you to parties. But just to chime in on one thing, I have a lot going on, and for a second, I forgot that since we were talking about the actual use of the technology in Venezuela, it occurred to me that just last month, or at the beginning of the year, I actually published in Caracas Chronicles an investigation that I had been doing about how technology actually impacts in what could be the possibility of democracy in Venezuela, at least in the slightest. So just to give a broad idea, first of all, back during the pandemic, I got the tip that there was a possibility that they were going to use blockchain for voting in Venezuela.
It happened.
And yeah, that sort of happened, and that's why I got so invested in this investigation, because it was like Manu said, we don't have electricity all the time or water all the time. let's put the little asterisk there, like people still shower, no worries. But the thing is that that was back in 2020, and the voting happened also in 2020. It was all right away. It was like an opposition, like the opposition inside of the country was interested in like looking for ways to overcome the barrier of the dictatorship, because we use electric voting. We use digital voting, and that has already been proved to be tampered, because they will just snatch the results and change them while people still waiting in front of their televisions waiting for the results. And we all know that they're trying to change the voting, so it's useless practically. It's pretty much useless. So they started to look into ways to do voting even for a representative election, as what they did, which was basically just a voting for people, for Venezuelans all around the globe to vote if they were up or against the regime. Pretty much, basically, just on the surface kind of voting. And well, not unlikely, everyone that got their ass kicked out of the country were voting for these people to get out of the power, because most of us had to live under these circumstances. So they did this using a blockchain app from the United States. And, it was mostly representative, and many people, and this was something that came after another series of initiatives also using cryptocurrencies, like it was the Héroes de la Salud.
Don't get me.
Yeah.
Don't get me.
I have that in here.
Health. Yeah, like the health heroes. This was another opposition initiative, basically.
Like an airdrop, David.
Yeah, like an airdrop to
using
give
cryptocurrency.
bonuses to health workers during the pandemic.
Over RTM. Let me get you that.
Yeah, with freaking RTM. So the thing is that they were stop making faces. The thing is that this was there has been already like these initiatives to try to use the technology of cryptocurrencies and blockchain to help Venezuelans. When I did the investigation, I asked a series of experts on their thoughts on how this was actually impacting in the reality of Venezuela. And not to be surprised or anything, I know that we are very optimistic overall, but the reality is that there's a series of pinpoints that need to be addressed in Venezuela as a whole. Like it's not like because there is the crisis and there's the opportunity, it means that there are the means, like we have already established, and not because people need an alternative, they will turn immediately to cryptocurrencies. This is mostly because cryptocurrencies already have a very, for people who are not acquainted with them, this has already a high charge of politics on it. So many people that are not acquainted with, got acquainted with Bitcoin maybe, that read about it in news articles, but then it came the Petro, for example, or then government officials started to talk about cryptocurrencies. They start to link that discourse into politics. So I don't want to use this because I don't know how it works. And there's already a paranoia that the government can see all of the messages of all of the people, that using WhatsApp is not safe, that people, they can track you on Twitter and Facebook because they have already used the strategies used for dictatorships, like they search for people that publish something on Twitter that they are not, that I don't know, they say something bad about the government itself. There was even a news about a woman that was detained by the SEBIN, like the political police, because she had a WhatsApp state saying that, they take
WhatsApp
people.
status? You mean like WhatsApp status?
A WhatsApp status, saying that she was, saying something bad about Maduro's government, and they took her hostage with it. Like, they will record to this type of strategies to have the people thinking, and we have all countries living in Venezuela, they can see everything because we keep seeing these news happening. But I, for example, talked with Carlos Diaz. He's a very well-known journalist and
he's been in jail.
cyber activist. Yeah, and actually, I guess that I can say that here, when we were doing the interview, actually, a friend of his that is running an ONG in Venezuela that it helps old people to have food, got detained during the call because they were saying that he was under suspicion of financing terrorism and cybercrime, and they took all the computers of the ONG. This was early during, the whole ONG attacks that the dictatorship is carrying on right now in the country. So just to have like an idea of how the dictatorship actually approaches to technology and how this impacts on the mindset of people of what cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and overall technology actually means as a tool. Like, it's like right now, it's either a tool for you to have financial freedom and privacy, or it's the devil in disguise and they have control over it. So it really depends on how the narrative has gotten to you, depending on their own circumstances. So there will be people that doesn't matter how much they need cryptocurrencies, they will still link them to control by the government, and they won't use it, or they will already close to the idea. And there are people who won't use it because they don't care about it at all, which is like the general status. And there will be people willing to learn. So it's not a general situation where everybody just falls into the same like thought process of, oh, money sucks.
It's tricky.
Exactly.
I would like to respond to what Manu said, but piggybacking what just Diana said, with a very, very old story. You guys haven't been born when in the Soviet Union, it was illegal to own a photocopier. Okay? So, Manu, when you say that the tools are not ready yet and the people cannot self-organize,
I disagree.
Do you mind if I am brutal? That's bullshit. People have organized with whatever tool they had every time and any time.
That's true, but what I was saying is that we don't have the infrastructure. Like when I say infrastructure, I mean like electricity. We don't have it yet. Right now, we don't have it. Like, we need to solve that issue first. Like being able to have electricity for all Venezuelans. That's the first issue.
I agree and disagree, because like, man, for me, it's a thing about self-sustainability. I mean, when you talk about systems and how these systems scale, if we're going to talk about the next stage of governance, when you look about local governance in France, the numbers are way bigger than in the whole Latin America. I mean, the scope of local governance in Latin America is pathetic, to just say something, Anyway, the thing is like, how do we scale this? We tap into providing people with toolkits, with pathways towards, like self-sustainability. This work is awful, David, in Venezuela. Sovereignty, soberanía. So when you talk about food sovereignty, power, water, I mean, those things can be a key. I mean, they can happen, but you need to, as George was mentioning, he's not here anymore, and Antoine, you need to provide people with the toolkits and the learning systems and you know, like catalyzing those kinds of things. It's not just about crypto. It's a systemic approach. I mean, like it cannot just be about one technology. It cannot just be about tech. It's got to be cultural. And we are surviving for, I don't know how long, well, a decade without the government, because the government is not your friend. It's not going to solve any issue for you. We had a well down here for water because we cannot count on the government. I mean, if we wait for the government to give water to the place I live, you can't wait forever. I mean, like internet, et cetera, So I just got 50 megabytes and I had to pay a bunch of money. And I know it's nothing. I had tap into Google Fiber. But it's a lot for me, and I'm here mainly because of that. Otherwise, I will have to be on my data plan with my phone over there near the window,
So what
catch
will
into the
happen with
waves.
Starlink?
I think
That will be amazing.
Starlink is going to be quite controversial because international law would require permission to service a geographical area, right? So it will be very interesting to subvert potentially, you know, just like satellite television. It is supposed to be encrypted, and you are only supposed to be able to receive satellite television if you have an official decryption code. And it is a race always of being able to crack that, because if you want to watch the movies, then you will use the cracked decryption code and you will receive the movies. Now, that is one way. And of course, Starlink is two-way. So communicating with a cracked receiver is not possible, because then it is recognized immediately when you talk back, unless Starlink closes one or both their eyes and pretends that the traffic is genuine. So it could be quite interesting, and to be a little more science fiction-y. What is the name of the Argentinian CubeSat company? They were born at Singularity University as well. I don't remember now. It doesn't matter. Launching CubeSats is becoming cheaper and cheaper, right? The reason I was mentioning photocopiers in the Soviet Union is because Gorbachev, Mikhail Gorbachev, who turned 90 yesterday, launched his perestroika and glasnost in trying to reform the Soviet Union under the illusion that it could be reformed. And he is still hated in Russia by those who dream of the grandiose power they believe they had. And he himself is very still confused about the whole thing. But it wasn't reformable, and just like a dam, any little opening was bursting through, and it created an unstoppable transformation. So it wasn't the mobile phone, maybe. It wasn't WhatsApp, maybe. It wasn't Dash 3-4 years ago, fine. But there will be, you know, and I don't know how many years it is going to take, but there will be something that will represent the point of unstoppable change. And what is, I think, very important in the organization of a grassroots movement is realizing that the change is going to be uncontrollable. Even those who are going to be the leaders at the time of the movement catalyzing the change will be just deluding themselves that they are in charge, but they will be, you know, in a very complex situation. So that is why trying to put in place resilient infrastructure that is decentralized, just like Daniel was saying, a well to have water, and other systems like that. I keep repeating solar for energy, and solar, by the way, is becoming very, very, very cheap. It is certainly much cheaper than having a diesel generator, you know, I am, Elena at least has relatives in Venezuela. I only know where it is on the map, right? I know nothing else. But I think that the things that Antoine is trying to do, incentivizing people to learn and feel emancipated about this learning and knowledge, is going in the right direction, broadening, not only about crypto, you know, a little like Khan Academy, a Venezuelan equivalent of Khan Academy, delivered on mobile phone, optimized for mobile phones, where when you gamified, so that when you complete a lesson, you receive, you know, whatever the Petro or ORTEP. You receive a given amount of ORTEP, which is a cryptocurrency, which is the opposite of Petro. Rather than being controlled centrally, is controlled by the people. It's called ORTEP, right?
I think, like, my reaction to the past 5 minutes of discussion is that two things can be true at the same time. Like what Manu was saying and what you all are saying are not mutually exclusive. Like, it's bullshit to say that people can't self-organize. It's also bullshit to say that cryptocurrencies are a viable option in an environment where there is no reliable economic or electric infrastructure. So both things can be true, and there can be remarkable, like, case studies that come out of it. I think the main challenge that is very tempting to do when you're looking at a case like Venezuela is to take a case study or like one remarkable shining city on the mount and act like that can be an entire country, or act like it can be all of my abuelas and all of my tios and tias holding hands across the country, exchanging. Like, it won't happen overnight, and that's fine. I really liked what David, you were saying, in that these conversations around power and surveillance and control are not new, right? This was a theme during the Cold War. This was a theme during the Civil War. This was a theme during the colonial times. Like, it's always been the case that the individual will struggle against the collective. And right now we have more resilient tools to empower the individual in unique and interesting ways. So I don't think we should stop thinking about that just because certain individuals are trapped in a repressive regime, right? Like, they have just as much, if not more, incentive to explore these technologies. I just think, like, we sure should better be careful with how they're promoted and what incentive alignment is actually taking place. One thing I will say, I think it came up like a lot earlier with DAOs, is a cool thing we haven't talked about and could actually, like, I would love to know from Daniel if this is happening. Right now, it's possible to reward people for participating in a system in a way that has never been possible before. So, like, Uniswap last year made huge headlines by dropping a governance token based on the usage of a platform. Uniswap is a decentralized exchange. Very exciting, and now a lot of communities are copying that. It would be interesting to see what that could look like in low resource environments. Other things that I think are worth following are like, how do cooperative networks or cooperative ownership, what does that look like in a resource constrained environment? I also think there's a difference between a resource constrained environment. So like a lot of times people just lump poor countries in together. So like Venezuela, Nigeria, whatever, like just because they're poor doesn't mean they're the same. So there's a difference between a resource constrained environment and a repressive environment. So if you're poor because you don't have anything around you, that's different than if you're poor because the narco state is depleting your otherwise rich environment. And
Right.
there is a very violent and well-funded incentive to keep you poor. Okay,
Thank you
I'm
so
done.
much.
This is why I don't talk. This is why I don't get unmuted.
Elena,
I get really
Elena.
heated really fast.
That's why I wanted to hear you. This is exactly what I wanted to hear. This is the reality that's happening in our country. We're being repressed. And I say we, I'm not there anymore, but that's the reality.
Yeah, exactly. And when I talk to groups like you in Argentina, they say they are the next Venezuela. And just as another historical reminder, the GDP of Argentina was larger than Germany or the UK at the beginning of the 20th century. And the trajectory of Argentina is due to, well, incompetence, corruption, and you know, and then you can blame the gringos, of course, every time, and it's true every time as well. But Venezuela is artificially poor, right? Rather than being necessarily poor.
Yeah. That's such a, and all of this is economic models that like we've never been able to iterate on these hypotheses before like we can with decentralized systems. So I don't mean to poo-poo it. I'm super excited about it. Daniel said something that I was excited about that I just forgot. It just escaped me. But yeah, I agree with what y'all are saying.
Is it true that every local government or even the smallest village is impossible to work with? Can there be exceptions of people who by happenstance are smart and they are just there and they even don't realize why, and they are afraid a little bit of their position, but they could represent like little crystals in a super cooled water tank, and then when something happens, the whole process happens around those nodules, because in a maybe a more remote area could be easier to experiment, you know, rather than in the cities, in places where monitoring and realizing that something is going on is easier.
No, I believe so. I mean, like, I mean, there are spaces. I mean, there are spaces that are very tied to local value chains, like in producing cacao or well, chocolate or coffee. So everybody in the local space is, you know, is connected to that value chain. So these kinds of spaces, they exist. I had a friend who is one of the main cacao producers of the country. So I'm thinking about that. We tried and we failed with Los Roques, which you guys may know. There was a tiny experiment down there that is like a small archipelago just outside of I mean, it's just in front of La Guaira, so it's very close to Venezuela. But there is a lot of corruption there, so you don't have the right incentives. People don't care about the local, I mean, they care about the local community as soon as they get, extrinsic incentives. They get money, they get power, they get, drugs, and they get prostitutes, and it's not good. It's a tourist space. But when you look at these small spaces like cacao production, everybody, it's the small community. They share values. They had kinship. It's this family, that family. Oh, my cousin is married to your whatever, and this and that, and everybody's connected. There is a strong weaving. Those kinds of spaces exist. There has been, I had spoken a lot with placemaking, urban guys in technology and not in technology. I love the city kind of thing and perspective. Anyway, but the thing is, like, there are some spaces, like it happened at 23 de Enero. It happened that a small commune of the government, they put out their own currency. And it was called, I forgot the name. But anyway, it was beautiful. I mean, they put out their own system and it was pegged to the Bolivar. Of course, I don't know what happened with that. I guess it failed because it was pegged to the Bolivar. Maybe they changed the peg. But the thing is, like, they had their own system of producing local farming and goods and stuff. And that was interesting. There could be other examples of that. There are close systems that you could tap into that, not only outside of Caracas, which is the capital, but actually inside of Caracas with some of this. There is a space that I love that is very organized that's called the Sanssouci. So this is, we're actually playing a little bit with them. This is a residential complex of buildings, 500x families. So we were thinking about playing a little bit with trust lines, which is basically with trust lines, you can create mutual credit between people. So I can extend a trust line of 5 beers with you, David, and you can extend one with me. Maybe Manu knows me, so he can hop over me and, exchange with you. So we are testing those kinds of things right now with the local B Corps community. We're starting to test that hopefully next week, and with a local business network that's called Amondi. So we are gonna test that. It's intangibles, there's no money in place. But we had to try new things. I mean, like I got so bummed out with the whole, maximalist, let's make money, DeFi stuff coming into Venezuela. The incentives weren't the right one, extrinsic, hungry for money and stuff. It's difficult to blame people that they want to, they want to make money. I understand that. You are in a place that is a mess, is plagued by scarcity. But I think the kind of leapfrogging that I really want to see happening in the world, it can happen in places like this. I'm still very much optimistic on that. I spoke with Peter Diamandis on that. And yeah, I mean, this is the kind of space that I really see, like we had to try crazy stuff, pick some places that we can experiment. It's not going to be all over the country, but yeah, we can. It's the space.
I also think it's not going to happen by accident. So like you need people like Daniel, like you just need people who believe it's possible.
Correct. It's all about the belief, right?
But it's crazy. Like, I think the thing is,
that's a huge
you can believe that it's possible without pretending that it's going to happen easily. And that's the challenge. Like, when you have a campaign that's going to airdrop money to all of Venezuela and you act like your abuela can do it because it's so easy, that's not the full story.
Zero sustainable. Dash. $1 million put into Venezuela. Of course, like they were giving like $15, $30 airdrops per event. People were crazy. I'm gonna buy hamburgers with crypto and bread and this and that, and maybe a battery for my car. It was nuts. And then some of the people that were, stewards of Dash, they ran out with the money. I mean, the incentives were so fucked up. Sorry, oh my God, I'm recording this. The incentives were so fucked up that I can actually sort of understand their thinking. I mean, like they were being airdrop money and money and money. And for what? It was so not sustainable. So anyway, I'm gonna send you a link for Trust Lines for a beer, Elena. So I'll let Manu take over.
I wanted to ask a
I
quick
thought
question,
that
Danny.
too. What the
Go, go, go.
How did I miss this? No.
Okay, like especially here in Venezuela with all these changes, and you know, for instance, Caracas is like Narnia. Sometimes there's not like a bubble that it's like normality, and other places it's like, you know, it's zombie land. And what's happening currently with NGOs worldwide, and I think especially here in Venezuela, that I've, you know, as a citizen, I'm afraid that I don't want something like what happened to Haiti during this disaster, all the money laundering and all these new NGOs that they come out of the blue.
The Red Cross case.
You know, as we, you know, like as we know that unfortunately, like NGOs, like it's like according to the amount of money they receive, it's like it's the opposite. It's like the proportion of to the success or how much they aid low income communities. It's completely like it's insane. And nowadays, what I see, like I've been working with NGOs like for more than 10 years, like volunteering, and it's crazy. It's crazy. And I wanted to ask to you guys, like, do you think like the crypto or blockchain structure and you know, documents, governance could help fight this corruption? Because I think it's I do agree that it's a double-edged blade, crypto and technology, especially here. Like my parents they received petros for their pension, and they don't even know how to touch it. Even I was like, I'm not gonna touch it. Like because we are like that. Oh, that has to do with something. I'm not gonna touch it. And it's tricky. It's really tricky. And when you see like family members, like my dad had to renew his passport, and it was linked to Pedro. And I even tried. I was like, okay, I'm gonna touch this Pedro, and I couldn't. I literally tried and tried and tried, and it was insane. It was insane.
I personally think that the technology, you know, the blockchain technology can be used for coordination, but it's not going to solve the problem. We're still humans. We still need to coordinate with each other. The technology can help, but again, it's all about human interaction. So, for example, why I'm saying this is because I'm part of multiple DAOs, and sure, it's cool that you have governance and you share these responsibilities and so on, but it's not going to happen by itself. You still need humans to come together and make decisions. And there's also a lot of information asymmetry within DAOs and within, you know, this, let's say, new jurisdiction, these new jurisdictions, if you think about it, or these new countries or virtual countries. I don't know. I still think that obviously we can use AI and so on, like, but there's still human input. There has to be, you know.
Wait,
yeah.
Could you explain DAOs to me? Like what DAO stands for?
Decentralized autonomous organization. When in reality, they're not really decentralized. Most of them, the ones that they call themselves decentralized, but at the end of the day, most of the people don't understand that decentralization is also not 0 to 1 thing. It's a spectrum. So you know, the more you start understanding the whole system, you see that it's not.
Oh yes.
It's not decentralized. So then you need to abstract again, and then once you start understanding that again, you need to abstract again, and it's like a micro and micro. It's used fractals everywhere, and it's
Manu,
again.
I agree with you, and technology, when it is invented, typically first goes to destroy the status quo. It disrupts existing models, both economic and social, and as a consequence actually creates suffering, which will improve only when a new socio-economic organization will emerge. An example of this is how the Industrial Revolution created urbanization and horrible conditions in London and elsewhere in the world where people could not live well until such time as society adapted. And now in many countries, more than half of the people live in cities and they live pretty well. And one of the reasons we were able to survive the pandemic the way we have survived, at least until now, is because robots, literally robots, and we call them combines and we call them tractors, but those are robots, are producing the food, feeding people. And 2% or less of the population is controlling those robots and feeding 100% of the people. That is why we were able to survive. So I agree with you. We are in the middle of this kind of transformation with crypto and with DAOs. And yes, you did mention AI. I absolutely want to delegate my voting every minute. You know, in relatively well-functioning democracies, you go to vote every 4 years. But a lot of people don't even bother. And they are right. It's not fun. It's people are lazy. We are mammals. I like wine and smoking the pipe and chatting with people. A lot of the things that we are required to do should not be done by humans. When an Amazon warehouse worker tells you the stories of how his wearable computer is controlling his steps and optimizing every movement he's making, even when he is allowed to go to the bathroom, he's telling you a story of the end of the life of a human in a warehouse, because the next step is going to be robotic hands that are good enough so that people are not needed anymore. And that will be great, just like truck drivers that are not going to be driving trucks anymore because self-driving trucks are going to be there. So decentralized autonomous organizations currently are absolutely imperfect because of the reason you said, because humans are in the middle. And humans are not going to be in the middle. We are too easy to convince to vote against our own interests. I don't know if any of us here in this group is a Trump supporter, but for me, it is a great example of how Americans have been convinced to vote against their own interests, right? And that means that if I am able to trust and then verify or have a meta layer of verification that my personal AIs are actually representing my interests, I will be happy to tell them to take care of me and party and dance and love and, you know, do whatever we like to do. It will take, you know, another 10 or 20 years for sure.
I really want that.
Yeah, for sure. I also think so. It will take a couple of years, but I still think that there's going to be always new, let's say, communities coming up with their way of self-organizing, and there's no. I think that the world is uniting somehow. You know, like there's tribes that are being formed, but the tribes are now online. That before it was you know, in the geographical sense, like the tribes form up, they fight, they clash, and they unite, right? So until the countries came, and now we have this new dimension of tribes that are globally and that are somehow fighting with each other, and at some point I guess they will unite as well. But you know, to achieve that, there's still a lot of coordination that needs to be done. I personally think that we still don't have the tools yet for doing that. But yeah, I'm super optimistic as Elena, David, Daniel. Like I'm pretty much. I think that most of you are super optimistic that we're going to live it. We're going to see it. We're going to see this change. We're going to see the shift. It's happening already in front of our eyes. So yeah, I'm excited. Sassy.
I have a question, kind of like a two-part question. One is, what are some of the promising avenues that you see for crypto adoption in Venezuela, or promising, like, I don't know, just ways and things that are happening in real life? And two, do you think that Venezuelans will adopt crypto as a country, or like a lot earlier than other countries? And if so, will that generate like a lot of wealth for Venezuelans?
Honestly,
Wow.
I just think that we need to stop thinking about these imaginary lines that we created. Once we stop thinking about those and we start helping each other out, no matter where we are, I think the world will change in a faster way. I wanted to say, and I honestly think that creating this digital country with cryptocurrency is just limiting ourselves. We need to expand. We need to unite. But I don't know. This is just my perspective. I think that these geographical lines mean nothing. Honestly, that's my opinion.
I think definitely it's very challenging, and especially I think I don't know, personally I see it. Of course, I'm not an expert. I'm just an artist, educator, but I think in some areas, like especially in the called los barrios, called in some countries favelas or slums, things it's very extremely hard for these people to acquire currency, like to have, like, even with our hyperinflation, it's really hard for even to pay the bus, to pay for el carrito, to go up, to go down. And you can see that it's very tricky, and a lot of people working class, they really struggle to pay the basic needs. And I think it could be a solution, but at the same time it's a big challenge because a lot of these people, they don't have phones. It's I don't know, what do you guys think?
Oh man, yeah, that's what we were saying. Like the infrastructure is still not there yet. And also another thing that people haven't realized is that identity is the most important piece of the puzzle that hasn't been solved. How do we have, let's say, an identity layer or worldwide where people can just plug in and bring their reputation with them? I don't know. It's I still think that there's a lot of things that need to be built yet.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like thinking about the grassroots. I mean, like Jesus, I engage a lot with local barrios and people in the grassroots and NGOs, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, like when you think about identity in those settings, I mean, people aren't just people, it's like Jose, el hijo de las, Jose, the son of this woman that once helped me out with whatever. They don't have just one name. There is like a quality or an action tied up with that. When you go deeply into the grassroots and deeply into the slums, I mean, like people are like that. This guy helped me out once carrying my gas or whatever to my home, and
that's community.
Yeah, that's it's community. So how this nexus, this synapse happens between people, besides the numbers in the ID or whatever, it's
happening already. But it's happening already. Like in the digital world, it's happening. Like we are part of the same communities, right? Like Common Stack, the Token Engineering Commons, and people know each other. Like we're building this reputation in our heads, right? But we're still not able to put that on chain. We're still not able to account for that or create this reputational layer. or this identity layer, because at the end of the day, reputation, I guess, the sum of your reputation with different communities, your identity, I guess.
No, it's beautiful.
Right?
I mean, there was this chat about composable communities. So how you port, small pieces of what it means to be part of that community into the other community. And it has happened a lot with protocols and airdrops. That is one way of looking at the picture. But how do we take it forward? How do we scale that in the cyber physical commons and the cyber physical space as a whole? I don't know. I'm very much looking forward to working on that.
I think that, Daniel, you mentioned it before. It's all about creating these ecosystems or these systems that regenerate, right? If you don't have energy and if you don't have all these means for collaboration at the, and not at the physical level, but at the cyber level, then it's impossible. To do that at scale, it's possible to do it at a small scale, but to do it at a large scale, you still need this infrastructure, and that I think that's what we need to work on. But again, it's right now, I personally think that what is going to change the game is social. Why? When people start curating and participating in communities, for example, it's happening right now with NFTs and all of this type of stuff. Like, people are sharing this value, and they're creating this mesh network of connections, and it's all about social engagement, social interaction. This new social money that is being created, man. It's being created in front of our eyes, when everyone realizes that you can mint stuff, that you can create currency, that you can create value. It's all about what other people believe. It's all about belief. So
share belief, share purpose.
Share purpose. So yeah, it's that's why I'm excited. Once there's this awakening, the awakening is happening. I mean, we're living it. We're here having this conversation probably because of that. So it's gonna happen sooner or later.
No, I love that, man. I was having a conversation with some Kernel folks, and it was something like, I felt like I really understood commons in the perspective of DAOs when I grew my first tomatoes. It was like, I'm growing tomatoes. I can share them with the people that live nearby me. I had no problem with that. Somebody is, somebody's pouring water on water in my tomatoes, and I had no idea who they are, and that feels good. And I'm happy to share my tomatoes with them. And how that pours out into the digital and cyber space, it's beautiful. I mean, like how we create these kinds of systems that are regenerative. Anyway, I don't know. It's fun. There are so many things to.
It's happening, man. The common stack is building tools. There are many people just building tools everywhere, so it's happening.
Oh, Diana left. Oh. It's late, actually. We went over some time.
Yeah,
David, you are in Europe?
2 o'clock in the morning, exactly.
Where are you at?
I'm in Italy.
Wow. Italy and Spain. Yeah, guys. Thanks for the commitment.
Almost.
Manuel, I think I saw you on Twitter. You haven't said anything, and you had your camera on.
That's right.
I value that. It's a lot of confidence in the space. That's nice.
No, I actually appreciate it. I found about this meeting, I think it was because I'm connected to Manuel's LinkedIn, and I saw the post. I guess it's an original post from you, and Manuel reshared it or something like that. And well, yeah, it's how I ended up here.
Welcome.
Nice.
And I knew from Manuel, I think from BrickBlock. I don't know how we ended up finding out about BrickBlock, but I thought it was a very interesting project. And
oh, nice.
of course, I think you were doing that in Germany. Am I right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
In Berlin.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, the EU is gonna be tricky, but it's an excellent project. And well, I wish you a lot of luck on that. But well, it's a bit saddening to know that you found a wall on that. But well,
yeah,
it's I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we have a lot of legal barriers, you know. I don't know, it's most of these tools are available only for accredited investors, but you know, as I said before, there are communities that are creating their own currency, and that's what is going to be super beautiful in the next coming months, days. I mean, it's happening already.
It's happening, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just by being part of the community, you're receiving value. And for example, the Commons Stack, they're creating this Commons token, and they're just giving it to people that are participating there. And it's all about, you know, belief. Like if you're part of these communities, you can share value.
And sharing the Commons Stack. Thanks, David. I mean, like you basically decentralize me because I don't have to connect anybody that wants to connect with anybody else. Because I know most of you, so that's nice. But yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. It's really for sharing the accounts.
Nice.
People.
Well, and I also found Betty. Even she just joined. I think that's you, right?
Yes, it's me. Thank you. Thank you. I'd love to chime in, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm very, very new in this, and I think I found my community, especially in the last year, where, you know, it's been crazy, and all these concepts, although they're so abstract and we're still getting to know them, for some reason they resonate so much with me, and I'm just, you know, reading a lot and listening, and well, my brother, the artist, and I have a lot of colleagues, you know, within the art world. I'm an art advisor, art dealer, and they're still not awakened, let's say. So I'm now just like, I think the pandemic is perfect because I'm this hermit, you know, I'm all day at home just reading and listening to everything I can find and just trying to absorb. So it's great to hear you guys, and I'm just listening right now because I love to learn, and you know, and learn the language and you know, all the philosophy behind it, which I think is fascinating. That I can actually find a hub and like-minded people to exchange. So I look forward to continuing the conversation, and just really thankful for this. Yeah,
That's lovely. Welcome.
And for the art world, non-fungible tokens,
Yes.
NFTs, are amazing. It's completely new way. My mother is a painter. She's 80 years old, and she immediately got it.
Exactly.
She said,
That's
"Oh,
it.
I
Yep.
understand."
Absolutely.
And the royalty payments of
Absolutely.
secondary sales.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
it's awesome.
Absolutely, David. And I feel this as soon as I encountered the concept, I said, this is brilliant, especially because in the art world, like you say, in the secondary market, is so one of the most difficult things is to prove the provenance, to trace where the work has been. And with the blockchain is just perfect. And yeah, and for me as an art advisor, I mean, I'm very cynical about it sometimes because the art, my brother's going to kill me, Jesus, when he hears this, the artwork is irrelevant sometimes. It's all about where it's been, who has had it, you know, and it's the token. You know, it's all about the token.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
like, imagine...
it's about minting the token. So I get it. I'm so fascinated by it, and I'm trying to just learn more so I can educate artists and see how I can help them and provide, you know, tools for them, you know, and just broaden my, I think I finally found my call as an advisor. So, I mean, it's still early stages for me, but I'm just really trying to learn, and I bought a few months, you know, I'm starting to buy Ethereum, and, you know, just getting into the community.
And yeah. I think that is part of the beauty of the current stage of technologies. And we had other people here who are passionate about drones, and Manuel, if I'm not mistaken, Manu is a solar punk. So all of these things have almost zero barriers to entry. It really only takes to be curious, to be ready to make the first step, and then realize that there's an entire world that you can explore. I have been talking about Bitcoin and blockchain for a long time, and it is wonderful to see people like you who are very passionate And it has been, Daniel, a wonderful chat, and I'm very happy to have been part of it. Thanks for inviting me.
Un gusto. It's so late for you guys. I'm very humbled by your presence.
Totally worth it, really. It has been amazing to be part of this conversation, or at least to listen to most of it. Really thoughtful people. I'm really glad that I ended up finding you all tonight.
Oh man,
I follow most of you.
Thanks for saying that.
No, really, man. Like, deep respect and deep admiration for all of you guys for being this involved in this. I'm quite ignorant still about the.
We're all ignorant. We are
no
all
masters in blockchain.
Yeah, absolutely. The distance between what you know and what the most expert of us knows is much smaller than not the possibilities that both of us still have to explore, right? So we are practically on the same plane, and we are just looking out on the open water, on the ocean of possibilities.
Exactly. Yeah, really well said. I think there's so much to explore, so much to learn. We're just getting started. And the one that tells you that they're an expert, I don't know. Doubt it, man. Run away. Run away.
That's right.
Run away. Be careful.
I keep it in mind.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. See you next time.
See you, David.
Bye, David. Thank you.
I'll get you the armor card later. Qué bueno. Antoine, Phil, we had 2 English speakers. Oh, still here. Phil hasn't said anything, but he's awesome. He's just laying low there. I guess he's in another call, I think.
Is Phil the Phil that I'm suspecting too?
I don't know. There are so many Phils, but I guess it's okay if I say he's
Phil. Are you from France?
Oh no. Well, I think he's American. I'm sorry, I was just rambling. But
just wanted to say something about what Betty mentioned just a few seconds ago. It's so interesting the fact that you said that it's all about like who own it, like who interacted with it. And I'm saying this is because the other day I saw that somebody posted something on Twitter asking, would you rather give your art for $100 to a mega artist, I forgot the name, or sell it for $1,000 to someone that nobody knows? And most of the people said that they would rather give it to the mega artist or like to the mega known person for $100, even the monetary value is less. So that blew my mind. And yeah, that's when I understood that there's other type of value attached to art and attached to these non-fungible things. And yeah, it's really cool to hear your perspective, and also Jesus. And I love to connect with you guys because I'm working on this project where we're empowering creators, we're empowering artists, and then they were going to be able to sell their stuff and stream money to social organizations that they care about, to their communities. And also the cool thing is that communities are going to be able to launch their own galleries if they want to. So it's kind of like a meta gallery ecosystem that we're trying to create with a DAO, and that people curate and are owners of this gallery as well. So yeah, it's imagine that you were part of Facebook, and when you were part of Facebook, you invited your friends, you invited your family, and so on, and you didn't get any reward for being part of Facebook and for working for Facebook by spreading the word about Facebook. Right now, with this type of systems or incentives or reward mechanisms, we can create community-owned platforms, community-owned projects, community-owned protocols, And yeah, and that's what we're trying to do with the art world. There's one already that is doing something similar, which is Rarible. Rarible, the main thing with Rarible is that there's a lot of wash trading, and there's no vesting. The most important thing, Gref always says it. Gref is the vesting thing, the vesting guy. He's always saying that investing is the most important thing, and yeah, I think that we have the means right now to create systems that are community owned.
Skin in the game, man. Skin in the game. Yeah, I mean the commitment for the future we're seeking for.
And yeah, and that's all what I wanted to comment today. And thank you, Danny, for putting this together.
Gracias, Manu.
Manu,
ve a dormir, cham.
Quería decir rapidito. I just wanted to say really quickly, like, thank you, Manu. I'm honored. Actually, like Betty and I, like Betty has gotten me like, hey, get into. I was actually checking Rarible out of the platforms, but beyond that, I think going back to communities, I'm actually doing this part of it. And one of the reasons I stayed in Venezuela because I co-founded an NGO called Haciendo Ciudad. You're gonna guys check it out at haciendociudad.org. And I thought as an artist, like you can't say like, oh, you're gonna be proud of your art if you're not actually doing it. And for me, like it's like a test lab. I'm being the guinea pig with the NFTs. Like I was calling Danielle today, like, Danielle, like I'm not able to buy ethers. I need ethers for the gas. Like, how can you do it from Caracas? Because like it's like there's a lot of gray areas here currently, and like especially with technologies and your IPs, and if you're not using a VPN or whatsoever, and it's just insane. And I think especially with my sister was saying, what Betty was saying, I think blockchain and the prominence and the royalties, as Professor David was saying, I think it's amazing. Like it's great opportunities. Because I was thinking, like, I even thought of this before, like ways of finding sponsorship for murals. Because when I started at Haciendo Ciudad, I would always tell them like the UK did in the Second World War, like, hey, give me the tools, I'll do the fighting. I did the same with Haciendo Ciudad. I would ask private companies, just buy me the materials. I want to maintain transparency. I don't want money. I just want the paint, and I'll take care of the rest. Of course, you realize that sometimes you have to pay employees, or you have to buy a moto taxi, or someone did not arrive, or like logistics it takes. And as many people know, artists, and Betty would laugh at this, we're not the best sometimes managing money. Like we earn 5 and we spend 8, and I speak for myself. And one of the things I realized with the NGOs, especially with Haciendo Ciudad, like you can check out the website. For instance, my personal experience, I did a huge mural, and I was like, we have to cut prices. And I even said, no, don't pay me. But at the end, it was one of the, the craziest thing I've done in my life, because I was like the designer, executor, and coordinator. I was even the capataz. I was coordinating workers, because I was like, no, we have to cut on prices. And I was like being like a father, and I don't know, it's a great experience. But then you realize, like, and then talking with friends, you sacrifice the art, you sacrifice sometimes the mission.
Oh, we lost him.
Oh, I thought it was me. Yeah, Jesus seems to be frozen.
He's in Caracas.
Yeah, I'm in Caracas, I feel.
Oh, but you're good.
Yeah, I don't know. I just changed my internet service providers.
How about you, Betty? Where are you at?
I'm in Miami. Yeah, I'm close.
Oh, Jesus, you're there.
Yeah, that's Latin America. So that's Venezuela as well.
No, it's like Daniel was saying about the internet, and I'm using my Digitel's internet.
Uy, Digitel, Dios. Dios te ama, amigo.
Además, yo me debería ir porque me estoy chupando. Sorry, I'm changing languages again.
No, it's okay.
This is great.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
No, it's okay, man. I'm happy to jump into a session with you during the weekend, and Ethereum basics, like wallet stuff, getting Ethereum from your fiat. It's, you know, happy to help you out a little bit. I'm gonna be helping out some folks from my companies. Well, my company is like a decentralized thingy anyway, but yeah. Anyway, I really want to let you go, Manu. It's super late. Go back to your friends and family and anything.
Right there is my partner working.
Well, go back to work.
Yeah, it's 2 in the
Thank
morning.
you so much, guys. Gracias, Daniel. Gracias.
Con gusto.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
Gracias, hermano.
Gracias, hermanito. Mucho amor.
Igual.
Chao, chao.
Ciao, ciao.
Gracias, chicos. Grande. Thank you for everything. It was awesome.
Gracias.
Yeah. Thanks for you guys being here, Antoine, as well. Yeah, I know you're in Canada, right? Thanks for staying up. Anyway, so I don't know if you're still there, but anyway, I'm just saying. Take care, man. Betty, that's great. I saw your handle and went right there. Oh my God, she knows Obama. Anyway, I don't know.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to help your brother. Anything, you know. Phil, take care. See you guys. Well, I'm closing the call and stopping recording.